There's Adam. There's our. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and bring Adam on here. Da-da-da. There we are.
Hey, what's up?
How you
How you
doing?
doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you
It's
too,
been a
man.
long time.
Yeah, it's been a little while. I'm sorry, I was late. I completely lost track of time, man. I was
It's all right.
taking care of a couple of emails, and yeah,
No, it's okay. We all are. We don't know what day it is. We're just kind of.
man, yeah. I know. Definitely the days of the week don't really matter as much as they once did, right?
Everything's blending together. So no, it's all good, man. It's all good. Adam, thank you so much for jumping on with us today.
No, my pleasure, man. My pleasure.
Seriously,
You guys are great.
I
I'm happy
was
to speak.
I always tell people like you were probably I don't want to get in trouble, but you were probably like our best interview ever. Your
Damn,
answers,
man.
seriously, your
Wow.
answers were so like from your soul. You know what I mean? And
Thank you.
they were so inspiring. And for anybody that wants to get into acting, wants to kind of follow a path similar to yours, the answers were they were gold. They were platinum. And so,
Damn,
I'm
man. Thank
grateful.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for coming back.
That's nice to hear. I greatly appreciate that. I
No,
really
for
do.
real, for chatting. So, you know, quickly catch us up with
Wait,
what's been
before
going
we
on.
go anywhere, I gotta know how you keeping your hair so fresh during all of this time. You
Listen,
you
that's the
either
benefit.
live with somebody that knows how to cut hair,
I
or
figured it out. You got to figure it out these days.
yeah, well,
You
I know
got to get in the
I'll
mirror and
figure something out.
go to the side. And listen, I had to figure it out. I can't be walking around looking too crazy under my hat and my mask.
I've been wearing scarves. I look like Richard Simmons, man. I just have a bandana on all day long, and I was like, let me take it off for the interview. But now I'm looking
Right.
at myself. I maybe should have left it on.
No, you're fine, man. It's all good. It's all good. No, you got to get in the mirror and figure buy one of those little kits that teach you so you can see the back.
Do it. I know. I've been thinking about diving in just for the fun of it, but the show that I'm doing right now, I have longer hair on it, because they basically like shellac it down to
Right.
slick it down for the look of the era,
Uh-huh.
and it's a period piece set in 1938, and so I've been hesitant to just go in and buzz because I'm like, damn, if we go back to shooting, I need to have my hair sort of be
Yeah.
what it was before.
You
So
might need that. Unless, I mean, it's Hollywood. They throw a wig on you real quick,
yeah, they could do that. Yeah,
For
they
some
could do that.
continuity, though. I get it. You might have to keep it on there. Yeah, so good. That was perfect. Let's jump right into Mr.
Cool.
Raul Vega and this new role, this new show. Tell us all about it. Like, for anybody that hasn't seen it, give us the skinny on Penny Dreadful.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Man, where do we begin? It's set in 1938,
Mhm.
and the show, and I stress the fact that it's set in 1938 because it's 92 years ago, and all of the themes that we're essentially dealing with in the show they're timeless. Unfortunately, they're
Yeah.
timeless.
Yeah.
We have not evolved far enough as a species, but
Right.
certainly in our individual societies, most especially, I can only speak for here in the United States. I mean, where we just have not gotten to a point where we see each other as, equals, we don't see each other as ourselves,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Which is who we really
and
are. We're
that's the
all
problem,
reflections of
man,
one another.
yeah, if we saw ourselves as reflections of one another, then I think that maybe we'd be doing better than we are 92 years later.
Right.
Either that or it says a whole lot about how much we don't like what we do see, and we want to inflict that pain upon people that we feel will easily take that pain. I guess the people
Yeah.
that I mean, look, I don't want to get into that necessarily, but the whole thing
We
with the
can.
mod, yeah, it's just,
Yeah. Because it's a real,
still,
it's
shit
real
is
and it's
real, man.
heavy.
I mean, it's very heavy, very
Yeah.
heavy, and
Yeah.
and disappointing. It's disappointing. So, not to go off topic too much, but I, 92 years later, and we're still in the same hole, unfortunately. But this story
Yeah.
is so rich, man. I mean, it's set around the history of LA, the early history of LA. Sorry about the lawnmower in the background, but
Well, look, we're at home. It's okay. You might hear a siren. I live downtown LA. You might hear a siren any minute, so it's okay.
so Yeah, this story is it's centered around a family, a Chicano family in LA.
Mm-hmm.
The children are all first generation Americans. The mom is an immigrant.
Mm-hmm.
The family came to this country in search of a better life, and they've been working here and making a life for themselves, a good life.
Mm-hmm.
My character, Raul Vega, I'm a union leader and a community organizer. One of my younger brothers, played by an actor named Daniel Zavato, is the first Chicano LAPD detective, and so he's entering a realm where there's going to be a whole lot of pushback and resistance, and nobody that wants him to enter the society that has been occupied by very specific ethnic groups, whether they were Irish or whatever it was at that time.
Right.
And so there's a lot of resistance there. They don't want him there, and they're not unclear about letting him know that they don't want him. But he ends up having his partner be a Jewish cop that's been an old, is a respected old grizzled cop that's been in LA for a long time, played by Nathan Lane. And they make a great duo. Nathan's brilliant in the show as well. And that's that storyline. Now, the conflict that causes in our house is that I'm a community organizer and a union leader, and my crusade is for the common man. And most often, the common man is the one that's being persecuted by the powers that be, whether they be the politicians, the wealthy, the police. They're the people that are marginalized and discounted. And so, for my brother to be a cop, for a character like Raul is like, this is a huge conflict in the household. This is it's literally like, oh man, I don't even know. It's like the Montagues and the Capulets. Like, it's that intense,
right.
And so there's conflict in our home. Our youngest brother, he's coming of age at this point. He's moving from being a teenager into being a young man in his early 20s, and he's got his own set of conflicts, trying to figure out who he is and where he belongs in the world. He's got these two big brothers that are very powerful in their own, in their presence and in their opinions, and he wants to be his own man. And so he starts going down the road of what at that time would have been sort of considered anyway, or viewed as the sort of the thug movement of that day. We look at it now and we're like, wow, I mean, the fashion's incredible with the zoot suits and the hair and the lingo and the cool factor, but it's funny because every bit of that is what it was in my generation, to wear baggy pants and be consumed by hip-hop music and that culture, and and so, everything just gets repackaged. The feeling is the same as a human being,
Yeah.
You're young, you feel that angst, you feel that energy, you're attracted to what is other than, and what is, feels rebellious and different to the generation that preceded you. And so our younger brother is going through that, he's walking down that path. And then we have our baby sister, who is also, she's a young woman and trying to figure out who she is, and she ends up gravitating towards I don't want to give too much away, but she finds an interesting path that I don't think people might see coming right away. And it's an interesting spiritual path. And so that's the family basically, and then we have mom, who is just such a powerful presence. Adriana Barraza is the actress's name. Adriana Barraza, she's Mexican actress who is brilliant actress and a wonderful human being who I adore. She actually played my mother once before in CSI Miami, and she's wonderful. Yeah, so that was nice to get back to work with her again. So there's Adriana, there's Danny, there's Jonathan Nieves plays our middle brother, Jessica Garza is the youngest sister. That's the family, that's the core of the show. And then Danny really leads the story as the cop. There's a murder at the beginning, and this murder sort of is the entry point into all the political stuff that's going on. And then there's another layer to the show, which is about the during this time, World War II hadn't fully heated up. You know, the Nazis were making their run to take over Germany, and that was becoming the national movement. And Hitler was slowly but surely making his play to achieve world domination. And one of the things he wanted to do was to have a foothold in America. And so he decided that Los Angeles was that place that he wanted to have as his American, you know, hub, basically. He loved the movie business, and so LA had that. Obviously, the weather, and he also felt like LA hadn't quite been populated with the same melting pot that New York had at that time, which made it far less attractive. And so he had people here in LA, spies that were infiltrating U.S. government on a local level here in LA, and then on a national level. And he was basically doing everything he could to gain to start to gain a foothold here, so that if he was to take over the world, he was ready to go, and he could just plug and play here in LA. So all of that is true. All of that stuff is going on. And then we've got the spiritual aspect to the show, which is, which really boils down to good and evil, and how sometimes I think, there are these two characters, they're sisters. One is Magda, which is one of the four characters that Natalie Dormer from Game of Thrones plays. And Magda is essentially, playing with mankind and sort of, doing her best to encourage mankind's bad behavior, and the desire to serve his ego and his own greed, and the lust for power is sort of, those are the things that she plays on. And then she's got a sister named Santa Muerte, who's an actual saint that people pray to, and in some of the culture, like the Santeria, which is like, it's rooted in Catholicism, but it's also like, the worship of saints and the praying of saints to help other things that you want God to do. When he doesn't have time, you sort of call upon these specific saints for certain things. And so Santa Muerte is the sister of, I love you too, Greece. I love everybody that's making these comments I see coming up.
Shout out to
the
whole world.
Be able to comment on that. But I love you, Chile. I saw that. Montenegro,
Indonesia.
nice. Indonesia. We got people from around the world. I love it. So, the overarching story is this battle between good and evil, and the two sisters, Magda and Santa Muerte. Magda wants man to go down this wrong path, and Santa Muerte is kind of I think her sin in a way is that she's indifferent to it all, and I think she's sort of this character that is super important in its theme. Brooklyn in the house. Colombia, I see all of this coming up.
Chile.
So
Trinidad and Tobago. That's where I'm sorry.
Yeah, Chile. I saw it with another flag there. I don't know if that was. I'm not sure what. Turkey.
Trinidad.
Yeah, Vega. Germany. Yeah, guys. Okay. So what I think is really important about Santa Muerte is that for us to pay attention to is that this indifference is such a danger. Toronto, Canada, Austria. Okay, Paraguay. I'm done. I'm gonna finish talking. Denmark. This being indifferent to all of this, right, is probably the biggest mistake we can make. You see that all of a sudden when people do rally around a cause and stop being indifferent to the injustices that are going on in the world, we can get things done. I mean, for 2 months, these guys sat around in Georgia and nobody came and charge them with anything.
1 week.
And all of a sudden in 1 week, you can go ahead and mobilize, energy around the subject or an injustice specifically, and hopefully make some change, and I think that's really important. Now, I think we have to be careful with that because there's a lot of danger that goes along with that kind of thing as well. We can mobilize that kind of energy over something that we want to direct it towards, but it's a real slippery road to start having that energy and then decide all of a sudden what we want to focus it on, and as groupthink, to use some Orwellian language, that groupthink is like anything, it's a superpower that can be used for good or for bad, and we have to be really, really careful how we wield that power. It's not everybody's not equipped to make the decisions about where we focus that energy, and that's where people who emerge as leaders become really important, because they have to use a level of discernment and judgment, careful judgment, to decide where that's really worth putting that energy and where it's not, because you can get just as lost in the woods by putting that in the wrong place and do as much damage as the people you're trying to combat, from doing things. So anyway, yeah, that's a whole lot of talk right there.
Well, I mean,
those are all the themes of the story.
Yeah.
The show. Let me talk about a little more about the show. That the costumes are absolutely incredible. I mean, and I know you guys have a focus on fashion at the magazine, and I mean, just for the fashion alone, the Italy, man, lots of love there. I know you guys went through it. Argentina, the costumes are incredible. I mean, the Christy Wittenborn, who's the costume designer, is an absolute genius. I mean, just and one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. I mean, what this woman and her team accomplished are nothing short of amazing. I mean, just the extensive amount of wardrobe that went into research, because it's not just putting the clothes together. It's not just, fitting people for them. I mean, there's months and months, maybe, over a year and change of research that went into, what was the look of the time, and what were the fabrics, and what were the patterns, and what were the, and then on top of that, then taking it to the next level, that once you then get a feel for the time period, Montenegro, now you have to, France, Italy, now you have to actually take that look and you have to connect it with a character, so there's another layer to that work. And I gotta say, Christy and her team just absolutely nailed it, bullseye, like 100%, to the point where everybody who puts those clothes on that's playing a character, it helps you elevate your performance. I mean, it helps take you to another place, because you're one step closer to being in that world, And then the rest of the talent that went into this, a woman named Maria Casso, who was the production designer. I mean, it would just blow me away every time. I'd step on a set and, pick some random thing up, and it was exactly from that era, and it felt like it was from that era, and it looked like, and it, the props department, everybody that contributed to all of the physical things that create that world. Like I said, the clothes, the production design, the props, they just really helped elevate everybody's level of performance in a way that I've actually never had the experience of before. I mean, this was by far the highest level of production I've ever worked on. The crew, everybody in the crew was so committed to doing a great job every day, respectful when you were there to do your part in the work. There weren't random noises or, people missing, focus pulls. There were, everybody, and not to say that I've worked on any sloppy crews. Everybody's always given their best, but there's just another thing when you step into this caliber of production. And everybody feels it. It's contagious. Everybody wants to come and do their best, and I think it shows. I think it really shows.
That's beautiful
in the final product.
Was this your first time period piece character?
Yeah. This is my first. This is my first period piece of this nature. Yeah, this was, and what a cool period to jump in.
Start, huh?
Yeah, it was
starting A1. So I'm pretty sure. So first of all, shout out to Criminal Minds. Shout out to we see a lot of Criminal Minds.
Criminal Minds. Yeah.
How was it ending that? Like, really quickly, just touching on that, you worked on that for years and years and years. Like, walking away from a project that you spent so much energy and time on. What was that like?
Yeah. I was there with the bunch from. They did that show for 15 years. I was only there for 3.
Okay.
Yeah, CSI Miami I did for 10
That was the
seasons.
one, right?
That was a long time. Yeah, that was a
but
long time.
but when you
And
wrap these shows that go on for so long that you're there for years and years with these people, what is that like when it's over?
yeah, bittersweet,
Yeah.
really bittersweet. I mean, you're excited about what the future holds.
Hmm.
At least that I've always been excited about the unknown. And so I'm always excited about that, but it's sad
Part
too
of the process.
because yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you have a kind of cast like I had on Criminal Minds. I mean, this was just a group of people. Everybody was a consummate professional. Everybody showed up prepared and ready to work, and the beauty was that we all liked each other tremendously. I mean, we really loved each other just as people. We got
Yeah.
along, appreciated everybody's sense of humor. We all, we all really enjoyed spending time together. And I think part of why that was that way was because everybody there was wise enough to and humble enough to really appreciate what we had going on. We had a great job to go to every day.
Hmm.
The show had a great fan base, people that loved the show and loved what we were putting together for them on a weekly basis. And we all knew that. We all knew how fortunate we were to be there doing that. And so
Right.
that there was never any complaints. Joy to go to work on that show every day. All the way from the leadership, the producers that were, taking care of the nuts and bolts elements of the show every day. I mean, just, I got to say, like, collectively, one of the absolute most wonderful groups of people I've ever worked with. I mean, I just absolutely fantastic. And I've worked on, Criminal Minds was. Did you lose me for a second? Ah, I lost audio. I can't hear you. Yeah, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Nah.
All right, guys. We had a bit of a technical tip. Can you guys hear me now? If you can hear me, type in yes, please. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Junior. So let's hope Adam pops back on. We weren't done. We weren't done. So let's see if we can find him again. Darn technology. There we are. All right, let's bring him in. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I'm glad. Yeah. I
no.
actually had to run and get a charger anyway. It sort of worked out
Perfect.
well. But yeah.
So really quickly, I know that you've been in this business for so long, and I'm pretty sure tons of roles probably came across your desk. What was it about Raul that made you say, I want to go after this role? Like, what was it about him?
It was. I just think he has on the page. He had the most depth of any character that I'd ever, had an opportunity to play. Really, as soon as I read the first, excuse me, as soon as I read the first script, I just sparked to Raul. I really just felt like he had something to say that I've been trying to say for a long time, whether that was in my personal life or in my creative life. And I mean, which really they're one and the same, I guess. But I was, funny actually. I think the only other character that I've played that I would say, and this is the first time I'm actually putting these two things together. I played a character in a Tyler Perry movie called I Can Do Bad All by Myself.
People love him.
And I really felt
Really?
like that character, Sandino, had something special to say.
Mm-hmm.
And that was already 10 years ago that I did that movie, probably. And
Yeah.
so since then, this was really the first character that had come along that on the page, and I felt even more so with Raul that it was there. It was there, you know, it was there in the scenes, it was there in the words, it was there in the story on every level that like, there was just something really powerful to say that I feel like people needed to hear, and that I truly wanted to be the one to deliver the message. And so I read that first script, I fell in love with it, and had a meeting with John Logan and Michael Aguilar, the two producers of the show that were in charge of casting, and we just had this fantastic meeting. I mean, I was so enthralled by the script that in the script that as soon as I was finished reading it, I did several hours of research myself into the history of LA, into, you know, finding out whether these characters were real people at one time. And so I started digging pretty deep. I got into the unions, the struggles of the unions to be formed at that time. Women were a huge part of making that happen, which was really interesting. There were just some terrible working practices that were going on during in that era, and you know, preceding that, and they really. Sorry, got my grandmother calling right now, but I have to. But you know,
Grandma to jump on live with us,
right? And so there was just so much rich history to, you know, to really becoming, to seeing what LA was on its way to becoming, and all of the struggles that were, you know, the challenges sort of pushing it to become that. And I felt like a character like Raul was right at the heart of that. And, you know, he was standing up for people that don't often get a voice. And that's just something that's always attracted me. And so I fell in love with him, man. I really just was like, this character is something special. And I really put my heart into doing the research and bringing him to life. And I hope that people feel that when they see it.
That is like literally the best segue to the follow-up question, which is, what do you hope that people feel from you, from Raul, from this character when they watch you? What do you hope they take away from it?
You know, I hope that they identify with his energy and his passion and this desire for justice, because everybody's got their version of it. You know, my brother feels like he needs to be a cop to find his version of justice. And, you know, and no matter where you go, and no matter what your idea of what's right and what's wrong is, you're gonna, if you're really looking for it, you're gonna find at some point along the way that there's a great struggle to figure out whether or not you still feel right about that in the end, you know? And if you're really looking for it, there are going to be times when you doubt it. There are going to be times when you look at it differently, because at the end of that road, how you saw it at the beginning, it should be different than how you see it at the end. And it doesn't mean that you have to change your mind. It just means that you should see it all differently. You should see it more clearly. You should see
be some evolution in there.
Yeah, you know, we start out, we're sort of micro, and we like, you know, we're tunnel vision about how we feel and what we think is right and wrong, you know. And the more you get into it, and the more you explore it, the more that
consciousness expands.
Yes,
right?
Thank you. Exactly. I hope so. You know, if you're really pushing, that's what should be happening. There should be an evolution. And in answer to your question, that is what I believe people are going to see with Raul over time. You know, I think you're going to see glimpses of it through the rest of the first season, but I think that in season 2, which I feel pretty confident that we will have a season 2 of this show, I think that you will really get a chance to see Raul's consciousness expand. And, you know, I think you see him starting out feeling like you have to fight fire with fire. And over the course of time, I think you see him grow and realize that, wait a minute, you know, head-to-head conflict is not always the way to get to where you want to go. There are other ways to solve things. Yeah, better ways, more enlightened ways, you know.
And I think it's really timely because this time that we're all experiencing as a planet, I think that kind of collective consciousness shift and expansion and evolution is what a lot of people are experiencing right now in major ways. You know what I mean?
I hope so.
You know, people have time to sit with themselves, to look at their family life, look at their work life, look at their kids, look at, you know, all these different parts that otherwise we were running back and forth, too busy to really, really sit and pay attention. And so hopefully, you know, like Raul and like this time, you know, we all are getting that moment to just kind of go inward and kind of lean in, you know what I mean, and come up with different, better, stronger, smarter, more evolved, more conscious ways to get to the places that we desire to go. And so, kind of, you know, just keeping it segueing, and then we're gonna let you go. So, you know, you gotta call grandma back. We're at home. You know, we're all stuck at home. We're all hanging out with either ourselves or our family. You know, we know that you're a dad and a husband. What has quarantine in the Rodriguez household, like, what has that been like for, like, now you're dad and you're home all the time, and, you know, what's that like?
You know, if I had to sum it up in one word, I would say, man, it'd be tough. I would say it's been magic. It's been heaven.
That's beautiful.
You know, those two words I would say would sum it all up. But, you know, not to say it's been easy.
Right.
You know, because I don't think, you know, I think a lot of people mistake those two things or, you know, like perfection for being easy. And it's been a challenge. You know, we've got 3 kids. We've got one that's under 2 months old, barely about to be 2 months old. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, he showed up right as the quarantine was kicking off, and you know, we've had our hands full, and you know, two older kids, the 3-year-old and the 6-year-old, who require constant attention. They want to be entertained. They want to be paid attention to. And we want to do all of that. You know, but, you know, they want to be taught things, and so
24/7.
24/7, man. 24. My kids they're busybodies, so they're not nappers. They don't sleep during the day and take a nap. They're up late at night. They're, you know, which is just pretty much how I was built as well. So I'm not surprised, but there's never a break, man. And,
never enough.
My wife is, oh my God, she is just absolutely incredible in terms of, you know, embracing that and being able to handle it all. And I'm just lucky enough to be here and get to hang out with them all. I mean, you know, look, man, like every situation you're ever going to be in. And I think that's a big part of what this quarantine is hopefully teaching people. You know, people struggle, man, for whatever reason it is, safety, security. They want to believe that they have some measure of control over their lives. And while, yes, we do have control over certain aspects of our lives, but none of those aspects of control have anything to do with the outside world. You know, all we get to do is control one thing, and that's our state of mind. That's us. You know, okay, how am I going to approach this situation? This is the situation. There's nothing I can do about it. Nobody has a magic wand. They're not going to fix this problem overnight. They're not going to, you know, so you can complain and be upset and get angry and
invite that into your
live
world
in that headspace.
Right.
You have that option.
You do.
Or you could go, well, shit, it is what it is.
Yep.
Now what am I?
How do we make the best of this?
How
Right.
am I going to make the best of this? That's my work every day. How am I going to make the best of this? This is my life. I want it to be the best that it can be. Why do I want to spend time thinking about how bad it might be in any given moment? You know, and those moments pass, man. Those moments are gone before you know it, you know, but the longer you string them together, the longer it starts feeling like they last, you know. So
and it works either way, whether you're lending your attention on the negative, or you're lending your attention on the positive.
What are you going to put your time
higher vibration effects? It's going to work either way, and so the choice really is yours. And then, you know, so to that,
Yeah.
your dad 24/7, 365, you know,
24/7, man. And you know what, man? I signed up for it. I love it. I've been waiting for this. This is the job I wanted my whole life. I wanted to be a father and a husband. Every, you know, acting, I love it. I'm so grateful
right,
I get to do it. But,
right.
you know, in terms of doing it, you know, getting to this point now where I could take care of a family and have this
Yeah.
kind of time on my hands to do it with them is dream come true. So I'm living my dream.
Are you able to steal any time away for just yourself? Is there anything that Adam just does for himself as a creative? You know, it's just
Man,
Adam. What you got?
I've been
Anything? 5 minutes?
trying. When I have the energy, I might get to pick up. You know, I try to play guitar. I'm not very
Okay.
good at all, but I
Okay.
try to pick up the guitar when I can.
Hidden talents. All right.
I was hoping there would be a whole lot more time for it, but there really
With 3
hasn't
kids
been.
and a 2-month-old Adam.
Yeah, you know, and then I got busy helping a friend of mine out with. You know, he's manufacturing hand sanitizer and some other goods, and so I'm trying to connect them with people that are in need of this stuff. And
Right.
you know, there's like one thing on top of another that ends up being, you know, the things that eat into your day. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's
you know,
listen, being at home, people think, oh, I'm at home. Like
I've
now,
never been
you,
busier before.
now you understand, like, you know, I hate to use this analogy, but like housewives, you know, there's a lot of stuff to do at home all day, every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
And so
yeah,
you
man.
understand like what that's like being at home and having to run a household. There's never a dull moment.
Anybody that discounts what it is to run a home, you know, they just have never done it. They don't have any idea what that takes. Like,
yeah, I mean,
that takes extra special patience and diligence and discipline. Like, you know, I get up every day, got to do the same things every day, you know, make that machine work. That's not,
it's no easy feat.
Yeah, if you
It's
don't know, now you know, because
now you know.
Yeah.
So you're playing the guitar for 5 minutes if you can.
If I
you're
can,
helping friends. You know, you're obviously your dad all day, every day. Is there any like what's your message of hope in this time for people? Do you have any sort of central
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
that you wanna...
You know, I look, I can say my message of hope for sure is I guarantee we're gonna get through this. You know, maybe not all of us, but we are all going to get through this.
Yeah.
You know, in the sense that, look, we're a resilient species, and you know, luckily have the intelligence to work our way out of, you know, some big problems. The problem is that we are also very stupid as well, and we work ourselves into a lot of problems. And what I'm hoping, what my hope is that with all of this time to slow down, I'm really hoping that people understand the importance of being still. You know, we live in a world where everybody is so consumed by doing the next thing and doing the next thing and doing the next thing, or having the next thing, or having the thing that other person has. And, you know, we constantly highlight these material things that become, you know, goals of perceived happiness or satisfaction. And, you know, we get so caught up in chasing after these things and chasing them incessantly because we believe that they are going to be the key to happiness, that we never sit still. We never take enough time to sit still and think and analyze ourselves, analyze the world around us, and try to get the answers to the questions that we're all really asking ourselves on a daily basis, you know? And you know, look, the basic necessities have to be taken care of for sure. And there are going to be a lot of people in this world that right now, that is going to be a huge challenge for them to make ends meet, you know, just to feed themselves and their families. And the thought of that is, whew, that hits me when I start thinking about that, because that is, you know, you're worried about feeding your family. That's a different it doesn't level. Get any tougher than that. You know? And so I'm hoping that enough of us take the time to think about how we want to approach life when we emerge from this, you know, and what the takeaways are going to be. Because you know, the thing that I don't want to see happen is okay, you know, they turn the lights back on the
Yeah,
world,
on the
and
wheels.
everybody forgets in 5 minutes because we're so happy to be done with this that everybody runs out and it's right back to the same old shit.
Right.
You know, like if we don't actually learn from this, if we haven't taken some of this time where we're sitting home, you know, to turn the TV off, to stare out the window, to look at the sky, look at the clouds, close your eyes and just think, get inside your head, ask yourself some questions that, you know, that you might have been burying away for a while because you don't want to deal with finding the answers. You've got to go inward and face yourself during this time because you have the time to do it. You know,
right.
No one's expecting you there. I mean, you know, you don't have to be anywhere and no one's expecting you anywhere. So, you know, take advantage of the stillness and the fact that the rat race is on pause for a minute, you know, and try to do some growing while you have the time so that when you do reemerge, you come back a more evolved person, you know. And to tie it into Raul, the character on Penny Dreadful, you know, Raul, if you've seen the first episode, sustains a horrible injury, really has a brush with death, basically, you know, sees the other side. And you don't want to have to get to that point, you know, before you start asking yourself these questions. Right. You know, hopefully something like this where death all of a sudden is more of a factor than it might be on a daily basis, and you do fear for your life more than you ever might have before because, you know, there's this invisible thing out there that you could be susceptible to. Use the opportunity to question yourself and to really start digging for some answers. And then when you get them, man, pick up the phone and call somebody and have a conversation about it.
Right.
Talk about this. Talk about something meaningful. Have some meaningful conversation with people, you know, provoke thought in each other. Those are your friends. The people that are, you know, you could call up and talk shit about anything you want to talk about, you know, and there's nothing wrong with just small talk, but why not have big talk, you know? Start surrounding yourself with people that are talking about the things that are making you think, that are making you see the world differently. You know, it's the only way we're going to elevate. And I'm just hoping that this whole pause sort of helps at least some people snap out of this, you know, this pursuit of some, you know, materially abundant life that they think is going to be the key to happiness. You know, it's, anyway, man, that's what I'm hoping for.
No, that's big, you know, and just to add on to what you said, I also hope that people remember this time. And what I mean by that is, hope that people remember that we could work from home, that we could get gas for $2 in LA. I hope that people remember, you know, I hope people remember this time. And because the things that we'd had before were stuff that was given to us. We didn't ask any questions. We paid, you know, $1,000 for a flight because that's what they told us.
Right.
We have to pay.
Right.
But we realize now that we can,
right.
life can be sustainable. It can be a little easier. And I just hope people remember, I hope they don't forget when the lights do go back on, to hold, you know, some of the powers that be accountable for making life easier for us here. And don't give up their rights so easily. And just remember, because as we saw, again, you know, unfortunately with Ahmaud, if enough people pay attention, if enough people lean in, if enough people press into something, we really can make a difference. We really can, you know, make things better. And so I hope people don't forget this time, and I hope they don't forget that things have always been available to us, apparently, you know?
Yeah, that's important. I like that. Never, you know, to not forget, man. Never forget.
Man, we got to remember this time and hold some
important.
for
it's
some
important.
things forward. So, you know, we'll wrap it up here. Listen, I could talk to you all day.
It's always a pleasure, brother. Always, man. And you know, I feel the same way about the interviews. I always enjoy talking to you. You ask great questions.
So again, just loop us back in. Tell us, where can we watch the show? What time, what day, where is it streaming?
Sure. The show is Penny Dreadful, City of Angels, and it is available on Showtime. And Showtime, the network Showtime, is offering 30-day free trial for people that are interested in checking that out. You can get it on Showtime. You can also see it on YouTube. I believe on YouTube or YouTube Premium.
Okay.
YouTube Premium, and I know eventually it'll make its way to Netflix. It might also be on, and I should know this, but it might also be available on Hulu. I'm not certain.
On Hulu, you said?
Don't quote me
Possibly. I
on
think
it.
Hulu has a Showtime
They might have a
thing.
deal with Showtime.
Yeah.
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 But it's
Perfect.
out there. I mean, listen, put it this way: Penny Dreadful, City of Angels. If you're interested and you go looking for it, I don't think you're gonna have a hard time finding it. And I hope when you do find it, you enjoy it. It's
And that they feel all the things that you poured into Raul.
Man, I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. And you
Yeah.
know, it's the other thing too in terms of I really connected with John Logan, the creator
Mhm.
of the show, because he's really about saying the same things that we're talking about. You know, this guy really is very caring, conscientious person, and he's a true artist. And I know that his intention is to say all of the things that are in line with what we're talking about here today as well. So, you know, it was a treat to to get to work with him as well. And I think that people, again, when you watch a show, you'll feel it because it's coming from him too. So.
That's awesome. And listen, people can feel the energy. They can feel the collective. They can feel when there's a certain intention put into something.
Yeah.
And you know, I think it's awesome. I'm not even surprised that you were aligned with this project and what it's sharing and what it's saying. Because ultimately, I would believe that you attracted it to yourself on a primordial level, of course, but you did. And it's so great to watch you then manifest that and enjoy the work and enjoy the craft and enjoy the people and enjoy everything.
Thanks,
So,
man. It feels good.
Adam,
Feels good.
you really are a star. I mean,
Oh, man.
you are a gentleman, a professional. You are amazing, and so thank you so much for hopping on. It's always a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you. Yeah, it really is.
Shout out to all the fans from all over the world.
Yeah, thank all of you guys for showing up to watch us have this conversation. And you know, for anybody I didn't get a chance to shout out, my cousin just popped up. What's up, Ash? There's one girl that here she is. Pierina Herrera, hey, she must have put up like 20 times say hi. So I hope you saw that. Yeah, everybody, thanks for showing up. I love doing this. Support 26 Magazine. You can see that the people that are putting it together are quality people. And I'm glad to see you guys are still pushing through. I know it's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy, man. But keep doing it.
Day by day. Adam, thank you again. Everybody, tune in to Penny Dreadful. It's on Showtime. Support the show, support the message, support all the creators and the creatives that pour into this show. Support our guy, Adam. He's amazing. We love him. Thank you.
Thanks, man. See you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.